Hello, welcome, happy Valentine's Day, and this is a baritone ukulele tutorial for the song We Are Going to Be Friends, performed by the White Stripes. So I've always kind of felt a little bit weird about Valentine's Day because of that focus that is very heavily skewed towards romantic love, but to be honest with you, my favorite kind of love is friendship. So that's why I chose this song for today. I like it also because we're going to do a little bit of fingerstyle, not too much, but just enough to try it out for the first time if maybe you haven't done it before. And it's got really easy chords. It's got G, C, D, and A, and also a C9 chord. So you just learned one kind of different chord, a new fingering, and a new fingerstyle. And so it should be very approachable if you are a beginner or if you've been playing for a little bit but haven't learned a whole lot of chords yet. This tutorial should be really great for you. And of course, I'm going to make one for standard tuning ukulele. If you are waiting for that, probably release that today later. So we'll see. And as always, feel free to use timestamps to repeat sections or to skip sections that you know already or that you can figure out on your own without me telling you. I will never know or be offended by what you do or do not take from this tutorial, so just do what you need to. Take the information that you need. And I also have a printable PDF that will be available in the description of this video. So let's get started. This song is a little bit differently structured from others in that we don't really have verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. We just have 5 verses and then a bridge. So the verses are all the same. They have the same chords. They have the same melody. The bridge is the only part that sounds a little different. And in that way, that makes this song super easy to learn because you only really have to learn 2 parts. Now, one kind of fun thing that I also really like is that the verses have like a blues structure to them. If you're familiar with the blues form, you will see what I mean with this. Basically, we're in the key of G. We have G for 4 cycles. We have C, which is the 4 chord, for 2. Then go back to G for 2. And then we have a 5 chord, which is D, and then C, which is 4, and then G for 2 more measures. So that's our 12-bar blues. Every verse also has that last line repeated, so that's where it's a little bit different from the blues form. We also don't really have 7 chords, but I don't know, I think that's a really nice way to think about the structure of this verse. And it's cool because music is always borrowing elements from different styles. Let's get into the actual music. The chords that you're gonna need for the verses are the G chord. So we're gonna go 3rd finger, 3rd fret of the E string, right? We have D, G, B, and E. So the E string is the bottom. We press down the 3rd space, and it should sound like this if you play all the chords. The next chord we have is a C chord. So we're going to take our 2nd finger, our middle finger, and we're going to press down 2nd fret of the D string, the top string. And our 1st finger, index finger, is going to press down the 1st fret of the B string. So make sure that you are skipping the G string and that nothing is touching it. So they should all be able to ring if that's the case, if you're only touching the string that you're pressing down. And if you haven't played these chords very much together yet, I recommend going nice and slow between the 2. So we have G, then C. And at first you should be focusing on making sure that the sound is good, that every string is ringing. Once you feel like you have that pretty well, I would focus on making the switch in time. So actually counting 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. The next chord is the D chord. This one is a little bit tricky and I use a different fingering than what is standard. So I'll show you both fingerings and then I'll use my own. What you're going to do, what I do, is I use my 1st finger, press down the 2nd fret of the E string. I have my 2nd finger reach all the way across and skips the B string, presses down the G string 2nd fret, and then my 3rd finger, my ring finger, is going to press down 3rd fret of the B string. So you have a little triangle here. And I don't know if you noticed that my fingers kind of change the angle a little bit. So they're kind of facing towards the head of the ukulele. That's what I do, and it's just easier for me to leverage the chord that way. The other way that I see this chord played is with the 1st and 2nd fingers switched. So your 1st finger is on the G string and your 2nd finger is on the E string. And for some reason, for myself, I find that very hard to leverage. I think it has to do with where the 2nd finger is for me. So try it both ways and see what feels good for you. No one's gonna really judge what fingering you use. Use the one that feels good, because in the end, it's your playing experience that matters. We'll do a little bit of practice switching between the two, from G to D. So we'll start on G. 1, 2, ready, here's G. 2, and here is D. And here is G. And here is D. And here is G. Now the next chord is a C chord, but it's a C9 chord. That means that we're adding the note D, because there are 8 notes in the scale, right? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C is the 8th note. The 9th note, if you're keeping going up that scale, is D. Why do they not call it a C2 chord? Because of jazz reasons. But I don't want to get too deep into that. But basically, you're taking that C chord shape that we've already looked at, and you're going to actually instead just put your 3rd finger down 3rd fret of the B string, and you're going to create the note D there. These notes are a major 2nd, and that is going to be a crunchy sound, so it's not wrong. That's just what the aesthetic of the sound is. If you find that you don't really want to do that right now, you don't really care for that sound, or whatever reason, a C chord substitutes just fine. So you can skip the add 9, and honestly, the sound of the song will still be fine. But I'm going to do the add 9 because that's more true to the recorded version. Now we're going to go through a practice just transitioning through the chords, and I'm just going to play 1 strum for each kind of iteration of the chord. So every time you see a slash in the charts, that just means that it's going to be 1 more cycle of it. So for this exercise, just 1 more strum. So starting on G, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's G, 3, 4, switch to C, 2, here's G again, and G one more time. Here's D, here's C9, here's G, 2, and 1 more time. D, C, G, and 2. So something that I didn't mention before is that you can use, because all the time we have a C9 chord, it's right after a D chord. Just keep that 3rd finger where it is. And I just make the C chord shape anyway, even though this isn't going to change. So if it feels better to you to just do it with these 2 fingers, that's okay too. So, yeah. Now, as for the bridge, the only additional chord is the A chord, and that is kind of a cool chord because it just stacks on top of each other. It's all 2nd fret, and we just go 1, 2, 3 on the D, G, and B strings. Do just the bridge section with the chords so we can just practice playing the chords. Here's C, 2, ready, and C, C, here's G, here's C, same thing, G, And now here's A 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's C. And here's D. And now we have all the chords. That is pretty much the whole song. So like I said, very straightforward. Should be really easy to learn, especially if you have the music in front of you. The last thing I want to show you is the fingerstyle pattern. And it's the same for the entire song. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to have your thumb, index, middle, and ring fingers just live on each string. So your thumb is going to live on the D string. And it's going to function as its own thing. It's like a bass line. So it's going to go. And then your other 3 fingers are going to live on the G, B, and E strings, and they're going to go up at the same time. So it's down, up, D, and then the rest. So my favorite thing for getting things really, really even is to use the metronome. You can get I think there's an app called Simple Metronome, and it's free for Android at least. There's so many ways that you can get your timing really even and good, but that's the #1 way that I recommend making that even. So eventually you can just, your hand just does it without thinking about it. And I can talk to you and do this with my hand at the same time. So you're building muscle memory as you do this. So if this is brand new to you, don't be too frustrated if it doesn't happen right away, if the singing doesn't happen right away as you're trying to learn to do this fingerstyle. It's a process. Muscle memory takes time. So, there's no normal. You just learn at the pace you do. Just before we get to the play along, let's do a little run through the verse. So we're going to do the chords and the fingerstyle at the same time. So in this case, the every cycle is going to be 2 of this. So if it says G ///, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what that means. Here we go. 1 and 2, and here is G. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch to C. 1, 2. Here's G. Here's D. C9. G. One more time. D. C9. G. And just remember that on YouTube, if you feel like this is really fast, there is the option of playing back at half speed, 0.75 speed. I think you can do 0.25 speed. So if you feel like I'm going very fast, you can slow down the video as well. Or just take your time. There's no rush. Again, we learn things at the pace we do. I think that's all I need to go through with you. So let's do our play along. Enjoy, and I hope you found this really helpful. I'll do 4 cycles of the G chord, and then I'll go into the verse. Here we go. Fall is here, hear the yell, back to school, ring the bell, brand new shoes, walking blues, climb the fence, books and pens. I can tell that we are gonna be friends. I can tell that we are gonna be friends. Walk with me, Susie Lee, through the park and by the tree. We will rest upon the ground and look at all the bugs we found, and safely walk to school without a sound. Safely walk to school without a sound. Well, here we are, no one else. We walk to school all by ourselves. There's dirt on our uniforms from chasing all the bugs and worms. We clean up and now it's time to learn. We clean up and now it's time to learn. Numbers, letters, learn to spell, nouns and books and show and tell. At playtime we will throw the ball back to class through the hall. Teach Teacher marks our hide against the wall. Teacher marks our hide against the wall. We don't notice any time pass. We don't notice anything. We sit side by side in every class. Teacher thinks that I sound funny, but she likes the way you sing. Tonight I'll dream while I'm in bed, when silly thoughts go through my head about the bugs and alphabet. And when we wake tomorrow, I'll bet that you and I will walk together again. 'Cause I can tell that we are gonna be friends. Yes, I can tell that we are gonna be friends. And the last one I did a little G6 chord, which is just all open strings. So you have that option as well. That's what they do in the recording. Anyway, I hope you found that tutorial helpful. I hope you feel well equipped with a new song that is just, I don't know, so wholesome and so sweet. Let me know if you found this helpful. Let me know if you have any other ideas for videos. Until next time, stay mindful, stay musical, and stay out of trouble.